Welcome back, Automania. This is automotive for you. The newest automotive information just for you. If your idea of off-road riding is busting big air over triple jumps, the Freeride E will disappoint. But KTM's electric-powered off-roader broadens the scope of what's possible in a dirt bike built to quietly conquer trails of fun. The E-XC is basically a Freeride 250R with its two-stroke engine replaced by an electric motor and swappable battery. It's been available in Europe for a couple of years in three versions: Motocross, ESX, Supermoto, ESM, and Enduro, E-XC, the latter two being street legal. North America is now getting the XC version, but it's not officially legal for use on our roads. KTM's Freeride E boasts some impressive componentry. A chromoly steel section in orange mates to a cast aluminum configuration below the seat to comprise the frame, while the subframe is a high-tech plastic structure that helps shave weight. Wheels feature aluminum rims and spoke nipples and CNC machined hubs. Aluminum. The swing arm with a machined section shows attention to detail. Without its battery, the bike would weigh less than 190 pounds. All electric vehicles suffer potential penalties of weight, range and price. The E-XC balances the range, weight aspects by fitting a relatively low-capacity battery pack with just 2.6 kWh of capacity. For comparison, consider the smallest battery in a zero motorcycle, FXSZF 3.3, has a 2.9 kWh nominal capacity and stretches up to as much as 14.3 kWh, DSR with power tank. The self-contained KTM pack is filled with 360 lithium-ion cells from Samsung, and it can easily be swapped in about a minute. The downside is that an extra backpack, which weighs about 50 pounds, will cost an extra $3,600. KTM says the Freeride's battery can yield up to 1 hour of off-road riding time, depending on terrain and a rider's exuberance. Holding it pinned across a prairie would quickly sap its juice, while picking your way through tight trails would enable much greater run time. KTM says it can reach an 80% charge from dead in 50 minutes, from drained to 100% requires 80 minutes. Complicating matters is that the charger requires a 220-volt power supply. This is easy enough to set up at your home, which an electrician will charge about $300, but it means that most petrol power generators won't charge the battery, severely limiting riding options when out riding somewhere off the grid. The Freeride E loves unraveling twisty trails, using its steep 23-degree rake angle and moderate 238-pound weight to deftly navigate even ultra-tricky areas. It feels almost like a 125cc two-stroke and is nicely balanced like we expect from a KTM dirt bike. The seat is placed a not inconsiderable 35.8 inches from the ground, but it's a full 2 inches lower than a traditional Enduro like KTM's 250 E-XC. The narrow seat and slim midsection helps disguise its tall nature. The Freeride helps its rider feel like its master. Torque is always available and tuned to be nicely controllable for a bike powered by an electric motor. Top speed is said to approach 60 miles per hour. Powering the Freeride E is a brushless permanent magnet motor that utilizes two tiny radiators to shed excessive heat. The motor is remarkably small, and it uses a geared primary drive to a countershaft sprocket, which KTM says its testing proved is a more durable arrangement when pounding over bumps than power taken directly from the motor. From the upper right, following the radiator hose downward brings you to the Freeride E's liquid-cooled motor. It's geared to a primary drive and jack shaft across to a countershaft and chain drive. Above the motor in black is the 2.6 kWh battery that simply requires backing out 4 bolts to remove. A battery swap can be made in less than a minute. The aluminum bash plate is lovely. Peak output is rated at 21.5 horsepower, 16 kilowatts. More impressive is the torque, which is said to be 31 pounds to foot, a figure that dwarfs a 250cc 4-stroke engine, less than 20 pounds to foot at the tire. 3 engine modes are available. The economy setting is basically for beginners and for maximizing range. Full power is available in Enduro and Cross modes, with the latter coming on sooner and being especially snappy. Enduro mode was plenty on the tight and sandy wild Omar trails, with enough grunt to loft the front end over rocks and tree roots when desired, even without fanning the clutch, which there is none. And, surprisingly, I never missed having one. Brakes and suspension components are borrowed from KTM's 85SX model, but don't let that make you think they aren't up to the task of supporting the Freeride E. The suspension has beefier springs to support the full-size Freeride, with a 43mm WP fork that boasts compression and rebound damping adjustments, while the linkageless WP shock adds separate high and low-speed compression damping adjustability. They do a fine job of sucking up trail-size bumps but would be overwhelmed on a motocross track. The Freeride's WP suspension is a fine compromise for a trail play bike, allowing good performance within the parameters required from the bike's reasonably low seat height. There's 9.8 inches of travel up front, 10.2 in the rear. A 21-inch MacAskill Trial Max tire leads the way, while a Max Enduro follows. The front brake is a tiny little 4-piston formula caliper, radially mounted and biting on a 260mm wave rotor through a braided steel line. Its power and response were terrific for the trails on which we tested. The rear brake is one of the items I didn't like, as it's actuated by a hand control where a clutch lever normally would reside. KTM says the foot lever from a Freeride 250R can be retrofitted, and this is an option I'd be tempted to pursue to make the bike feel more natural to someone like myself accustomed to regular motorcycle controls. It is, however, occasionally a benefit when braking in right-hand corners. KTM says the E-XC will continue to operate in water up to its seat. Required maintenance is low. Lube the chain and drain about 150 cc of oil after 50 hours of use. But if you live less geographically desirable to off-road areas than the KTM guy, that means loading up and driving out to your favorite trails, places where 220-volt outlets are usually scarce. That means bringing along an extra battery, transforming your $8,299 bike into one costing $11,299. And even then you'd be limited to only 2 hours of ride time. To open up options for consumers, KTM would be wise to adapt its charger to work on a 110-volt outlet. Okay, that's all Automania. See you at the next automotive info, and thank you for watching Automotive for You.